Hey, everybody, this is Teacher on the Radio on 88.5 FM, WTTU The Nest, and also pre-recording this interview on YouTube and the internet and all the things. But we're going to be promoting this for a live broadcast on Saturday, the 24th of January, in anticipation of a Tuesday night show in Cookeville. Who thought there was anything to do in Cookeville on a Tuesday night? Nathan Fox, Warren Gently, Pinkerton Raid, and Alan Lewis are all coming to the Wesley Arena, which is a real cool, gritty, vibey DIY venue right off campus on 9th Street. Show starts at 7 o'clock promptly. You don't want to miss any of these great artists. So come on out, Cookeville, Cookie Town. And my guest is Nathan Fox, and he's phoning it in from Nashville, Tennessee, our neighbor just down I-40. Hey, Nathan, welcome to Teacher on the Radio.
Hey, good to be here. And I should say, not to be that guy, but I'm Nathan Evans Fox. And I only say that because there's a Nathan Fox out there who I've been mistaken for before, and we have very different sounds. So if you're coming to the show, it's a different guy.
Well, I'm birth name Andrew Smith. There are thousands of Andrew Smiths in the world, but there's only one Teacher on the Radio. So here we go. And I have a hippie name too called Sunfrog. You can call me that too. Anyway, Nathan Evans Fox from East Nashville, Tennessee. What's your origin story as a singer-songwriter? Because you've been around this and hustling this for a while, but I only found out about you because of that one song that got really popular last summer. Your hit single, Hillbilly Hymn. Tell us a little bit about your background as an artist, as a person, your origin story, your elevator speech. Let her rip.
Yeah, I'm from Dead End Road on Family Land, at the end of the Dead End Road on Family Land in Western North Carolina, out in the hills. I like to tell people I'm what J.D. Vance says he is. You could fact check my story, but bless his heart. But so I grew up out there, and just kind of like a lot of people that grew up in the sticks, I had like a lot of fundy Christianity and stuff that I grew up in. And so played in a lot of like worship bands and stuff. That's not my bag now. But it was kind of like where I got a lot of it's like what kept music alive for me. And so have since just kind of like moved around a lot for somebody that's from where I'm from, and started making music because I just couldn't kick the itch, despite all the things that have changed my life, the ways that I'm not religious anymore, the ways that my politics have changed, the people that I'm hanging, I've moved away from my tiny hometown. I've lived in big cities, which is crazy, something I never thought I'd say, but the music was the one thing that I think kind of stuck with me. And yet through all of that, the one thing that I also can't kick is my accent. And so people tell me I make country music. I think I just make the songs that sound obvious to me. But everybody says it's country because I've got an accent. And so I'm trying to lean into that, what it means to actually be pretty sincere about who you are, and not try to cosplay it. And so think of my accent as like, this is my starting point. This is not my destination. This is my point of departure. This is how I go and love and be in the world.
Well, you call it, people call it Americana. They call it alt country. They call it, there's like a kind of a folk punk to country pipeline. My friend Average Joey has a new song about that very topic, honky tonk to punk rock to honky tonk. So, but when you release that song with such a religious vibe like Hillbilly Hymn, which came out last summer, you can take Nathan Evans Fox out of the church, but you couldn't take the church out of that song. I mean, that's the kind of praise and worship music I like, with a message. And I know that some of the my lefty Methodists in Nashville found you and had you come to a church show, and like that. So you have an album that came out several years ago, that's got a little bit of traction online, but it's really the recent singles you've been doing. That are getting a lot of traction, but I know you've got some tour dates coming up. Are you working on new material? Do you have another full length in mind, or what's going to be? What are some of your and tell us about the big spring tour you've got. Tell us about some of the upcoming things on your menu, including Cookeville, Tennessee, in just a matter of days on Tuesday, January the 27th at the Wesley Arena, 7 p.m. It's all ages. It's suggested donation $10, and it's nobody turned away for lack of funds is our philosophy at the Wesley. So whether you're broke as a joke or you want to throw in an extra $1 or $2 for that friend of yours who is broke as a joke, come on out. Tell us a little bit about what you're creatively working on right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I have a lot of touring coming up this year. So I will be out there this coming Tuesday, the 27th. And I'm bringing my friend Emily Hines, who is, if you've been tapping into like indie folk stuff, you've been hearing her name a lot. I'm very fortunate that she's a dear friend. But we're going to be doing kind of like a duo thing, which has honestly become one of my favorite ways to do it because there's a lot of vibe that we're able to kind of tap into. But yeah, I'm touring an awful lot. I'm going to be touring with Dan Mangan up and down the East Coast. I'm going to be doing a Midwest tour with Carsey Blanton, a very cool activist and songwriter. And I'm super, super, super stoked to be on the road with Carsey and her band. And then I'm going to be doing a tour through kind of parts of more like rural adjacent locations as part of a project called the Back Roads Tour. This country of y'alls of ours, of some of ours, whatever, we can get into the politics of possession there. But this is the 250th anniversary of America. And so this group, Rural Organizing, is putting together a kind of record and tour project to kind of provide an alternative vision to what we could be doing and to what this place can be. So all that's coming up. And then the thing I'm really, really just ridiculously stoked on is I have my first record coming out for the first time in 5 years. That's coming out on May 29th. And so we're going to start putting out singles next month in February. And I'm stoked. This record, it had to be cooked a little different because I took some time off from making music and had to check in on what I really wanted from making music, and what I could offer that no one else could. And I think this record is that. It's sassy, it's political, it's incredibly sad because of some things that were going on in my life, which all will come to the fore in the record. And it sounds like me. And so if you like me, you'll like the record. And if you don't, that's fine. Not everybody has to.
So I'm gonna. I've got 2 more prompts on our list of things to talk about, and you're doing great keeping your answers radio friendly. So I'm going to go to the last one I sent you because it fits up with this organizing tour, and I want you to talk to us in Cookeville directly, just so you have a little bit of context. Nashville is in Davidson County. It's that little. And I don't like left, right, Democrat, Republican rubrics. I tend to trip over my own self and say something that doesn't agree with what I'm supposed to agree with because you think you know what I think in advance before you even talk to me. But just for some context, Cookeville's a red. We're not the reddest. I think Claiborne County, where my spouse grew up, went 95% for Trump, and Putnam County, we're a college town. Tennessee Tech is here. That's where I work. That's where the radio show is. The club that puts on the show that you're going to be singing at is all run by students here at the university. But we went 70-30 for Trump the last couple of elections cycles. And then we've had a lot of far-right activity. They shut down one of our venues by flying the swastika and doing other very weird things, harassing the LGBT community very aggressively. We've had drag shows shut down. Drag Queen Story Hour got shut down. I got disciplined by the university for some free speech activity. Almost lost my job here at the university for free speech activity. And so I left. I'm actually still religious somehow, but I lost my job as a minister due to my political activities here in this part of the South. So we get it. Mm-hmm. So so I kind of went the opposite of you went from the hick at the end of the holler to the big city. I grew up in Detroit and I ended up in rural Tennessee to spend my life. What do you, and I'm very adopted, they call me a Yankabilly, I think is what they call me.
I like that.
What to speak to Cookeville about this idea of y'allidarity and this idea of going on a tour where you're not just going to go to Athens, Georgia, and Asheville, North Carolina, and Birmingham. A lot of people say, I'm going to go to this deep South and bring them the message, and then they only go to Birmingham and Asheville, and Atlanta, and I'm like, well, kind of, those are still your peoples, right? Yeah. Speak to me on this idea about y'allidarity and why you want to reach out to places like Cookeville and the places on this upcoming tour.
Yeah, well, I think if I'm trying to explain y'allidarity, I'm just going to tell you about okra. And the plant and the vegetable, the fruit, I don't really know. It's delicious to eat. But when you think about okra, it comes from the exact origin. It's not sure if it's from the folks who are indigenous to what is now called North America or if it's from Africa. But we know that the reasons that it's in our southern foodways are because of folks who were enslaved via the Middle Passage. And so there's this cultural story about who's put in the work of feeding America, and especially the South. And we also know that okra doesn't translate to everyone. You got to love it a little bit. It's a little weird. It's got goo. It's funny. But the other thing about okra is that it's incredibly heat tolerant. It's incredibly resilient. You can use almost any part of the plant for any kind of things. And so when I talk about Solidarity, what I want to talk about is basically the food way of okra. I want to talk about the ways that we can make sure everybody's fed. We can make sure that everybody gets a beautiful flower. Okra it's a cousin or something. It's related somehow to a hibiscus plant. So if you've never seen an okra plant, they have the most beautiful flowers. It looks like a hibiscus flower. The ways that like we can provide beauty and food to everyone, and we can have this strange little plant that has this mixed origin, and thrives in the South and is a way of like creating resilience for our communities, despite the kinds of traumas that have been handed down from folks who just want to make money off of everybody. And so that's what Solidarity to me is. It's like making sure people are fed. It's making sure people are taken care of, and that we get a little bit of beauty. You know, it's not necessarily bread and roses. It's cornmeal and it's cornmeal and okra flowers. And that's what Solidarity to me is. It's like we've always had these traditions of taking care of one another, and they've been grifted on by all kinds of folks. But like we all. I grew up right next to my grandmother on her land, and she had lots of crazy politics. But the one place where you always knew you were welcome, legitimately, no matter who you were, no matter what she thought about people she didn't know, the people that were in her world were welcome at her table. And so, what does it mean to start at grandmama's table like that and expand that out, and to just be consistent about the ways that we treat people who show up to our table, and understand that a stranger is just somebody that hasn't sat down at our table yet.
Yeah, so Amanda Shires and Brandi Carlile, and that's all women, outlaw women supergroup. They made that song about the table. You know, there's an old civil rights song, you know, about the welcome table. There is something to be said for kind of breaking that down. So, do you feel like you're crossing over then to members of your audience that don't necessarily share some of your and I don't even know what word I haven't found it, your liberationist ideals. I don't know how to even describe, because all the words have become so tarnished.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And so pigeonholed and so algorithmically, problematic. But like, so when you talk about that, so do you feel like your tables and your shows are you? Is there Solidarity for people that maybe we might like some of the same things, but not all the same things? Are you finding that because of your accent and where you're from, that people are listening to you who might not listen to me?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't feel like that's something I spend a lot of time clocking. I wish somebody would let me know, but to be honest, I grew up with some real like hillbilly religion, like talking in tongues, kind of, signs and wonders type stuff. And the thing that I did learn from that, even though I've left that world, is like, there's no substitute for just leaning in and doing the wild thing and making sure that when people are in the room, they're invited into it. And so, if people feel drawn into the things that I'm saying because they like the songs or they like me, or they've just been looking for something that puts a lot of the feeling that you have in America to a history and to events and to a community, then like, great. And if not, I'm just going to keep talking in tongues and having gold dust show up on me, because that's also good in and of itself. I hope that makes sense.
And I think I hope you really bring it. And I haven't seen you live yet, but I have a feeling you're going to bring it on Tuesday night. My guest on this live stream and later on a pre-recorded edition of the radio show, Teacher on the Radio, teacherontheradio.com, going out on the radio on the 24th of January at WTTU 88.5 FM. My guest is Nathan Evans Fox out of Nashville. He's dropping new song rough drafts on Instagram Reels almost every day, or making commentary on the politics of being a musician in this day. the song I'm sure you're going to hear on this episode is Hillbilly Hymn, Okra and Cigarettes, what I'm calling his hit single. And also a lot of music that Nathan helped select. So thanks for helping take over the airwaves with me on another edition of Teacher on the Radio number 516. I've been doing this since 2007, dog.
That's great.
I'm getting old. So in keeping with that, how do you hustle? Like, I'm friends. I'm saying I'm friends. I'm acquainted with, I think, a lot of your peers, people like in Tennessee, people like Chris Matthews and Melody Walker, or over from our friend over in Knoxville, Adeem the artist, and people who are trying some things different. I don't know if you know about this Asheville, North Carolina based trans affirming drag singer, Flamey Grant. I don't know if you're familiar. So these are the kinds of stuff I listen to, and the people that I really try to support on this program. But I've been hearing a lot from a lot of different people. I mean, of course, everybody. I respect Tyler Childers and Jesse Wells and people like this and what they're doing, and they reach a certain level and they're able to bring some of our values and get in front of a larger audience. But how do you do the hustle, like, and not feel like you're, because like I've always liked working in like I have a government job because like I have insurance, I've got some, I'm in a union, even though unions in Tennessee aren't worth a whole lot. But, but people are always like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to be self-employed. It's like, and I always say, well, there's only one thing about worse than having a boss is having to exploit yourself. So how do you manage being your own boss and not feeling like it's just the grind? Like, how do you hustle and how do you, and I mean this for maybe not for me because I'm old and I have, like I said, a stable job, but for young artists who want to do, want to be DIY and and in this very social media, is where you get to get those clicks, your Substack, your Instagram, all the things. How do you actually do it? And how do you do it so you don't feel like you're just, a pawn for Zuck?
Well, you gotta first accept that you will be someone's pawn, and so there's a couple kind of angles I take at it. The very like easy answer is that I love like online meme slop, and I know it's slop, and so like that's fine. Like it's fine with me to like make that stuff and to peddle that stuff. Part of the thing is too, like I'm not in my 20s anymore, and I tried making music in my 20s the pure way, and it's like no, like you owe it to your songs and to yourself to go out and push them, even if it's like a little cringe or it's a little exhausting. It's a job. Jobs all suck, and so not sometimes you just gotta lean into that. But the other thing for me is like bigger picture. Is that I come from country music from the hollers. People that learn the banjo will go out into Wilkes County, go down to a holler, and they'll find a way of playing banjo that they've never heard before. These traditions were kept alive by folks who never were concerned with being professional musicians. They were concerned with the craft that they loved. And so, one of these days I'm gonna, if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. What I can't do is compromise my soul for the sake of a career that is controlled by people who have millions and millions of dollars and who are willing to kowtow to tech billionaires. So for now it's working, and I'm going to keep the ball moving forward, and I'm going to keep being me. And if it doesn't, then I'm going to keep my little holler specific banjo tradition alive. I'm going to keep the thing that has some cultural meaning for the people that I love alive.
There's people doing that, sitting around having a song circle, doing all the things you're talking about. We've got a new club in town, or like a for-profit like bar music club called Mean Mel's. They're doing a lot of DIY stuff there. The venue we're in is owned by a church, and it's very gritty, very like on the ground, just a very funky, weird place. It'll probably have I can't say the name. There's a venue in Nashville, the info shop type venue, and
Dark Matter?
Yeah, it's kind of like we're trying to do like kind of a Dark Matter vibe, but it's in a church. It's in a churchy venue at the same time. It's right by campus. I went on to Google, everybody. If you just type his name, and it's Nathan Evans, EVANS, and Fox, like it sounds, FOX. If you type it into the Google, you get all of his things, and he's on all the channels. So you got a website, you got an Instagram. I think he's on all the streaming services. I know some people are pulling their content, but I think you're available wherever you stream music. So And the show is coming up on Tuesday, the 27th of January at the Wesley Arena at 7 p.m. And with a 4-artist massive folk bill with Pinkerton Raid, Alan Lewis, Warren Gently, and our headliner, Nathan Evans Fox from East Nashville. Last parting thoughts before I let you back to your day.
Come to the shows and buy my merch so that I can get my music off of Spotify.
All right. And he's got a new album coming out at the end of May. Everyone, Nathan Evans Fox, thanks for coming on Teacher on the Radio.
Thank you so much.